This is a KMIR News special presentation. Presented by Palm Desert Kitchens, LG's Prime Steakhouse, Consign Design, Law Offices of John Patrick Dolan, and El Paseo Jewelers.
The following program is brought to you in living color on NBC.
Sunday, September 15th, 1968, Palm Springs, California. Cruisers on Palm Canyon listened to People Got to Be Free by the Rascals, #1 that day on the KDES Top 30.
I don't think that two single men living alone in a big 8-room apartment should have a cleaner house than my mother.
The Odd Couple was the top movie at the newly opened Camelot Theater. In the Desert Sun, the top story once again was the fighting in Vietnam. And at 4:10 p.m. that Sunday afternoon, history was made in Palm Springs. KMIR TV, Channel 36, became the first television station to go on the air in the Coachella Valley. Hi, I'm Gino Lamont. Thanks for joining us as KMIR celebrates 50 years serving the Coachella Valley. We've dug deep into our archives, dusting off very old film and videotape as we look back at 5 decades of entertainment, news, and commitment to the community. Now, unfortunately, some of that video has deteriorated over the years, but we thought you'd like to see it anyway. So let's go back 50 years as we remember the beginnings of KMIR TV. The mid-60s were a time of growth and prosperity across Southern California, and Palm Springs was no exception. The resort town was booming as tourists and locals found fun in the sun. One of the top resorts then was the old El Mirador Hotel, owned by John and Serb Conti, who had arrived in the desert in the early 60s. They loved it, but something was missing.
The one thing that I became acutely aware of was that there were no TV stations in Palm Springs.
Hi, neighbors, and welcome to Stokely Van Camp's Little Show.
Conti was no stranger to television. Before becoming a resort owner, Conti had been a performer on stage, screen, and television, and had always had a passion for having his own local TV station. In the mid-1960s, in Palm Springs, the opportunity came along. Sure, cable brought a few LA stations to the Coachella Valley, but it lacked that local flair. And the Contis felt Palm Springs deserved its own station, but it would not be without controversy.
The next thing I know is I hear that Bob Hope has filed on my channel. He wants it.
He wants 36.
He wants 36.
Eventually, Hope suggested that he and Contis go in together on the station.
And Bob finally calls me and says, "Why are we fighting each other? Let's just join forces and we'll have no problems at all." I said, "Wonderful to me." He said, "Okay, I'll take 90%, you can have 10. And I said, "No deal."
So the Contis got the FCC license for Channel 36, Palm Springs.
When they moved to Palm Springs, he and Mother had a vision that they would start this television station at El Mirador Hotel.
And it would be in that hotel where the Contis would build their dream TV station and name it for their hotel, KMIR. The MIR coming from the first 3 letters of Mirador.
One of my fondest memories is the day we went on the air.
From a transmitter high atop Edom Hill, finally the Coachella Valley had its own TV station on Channel 36.
Well, there's no question they were pioneers.
Serb Conti's daughter, Joyce Stein, recalls the blood, sweat, and tears that her mom and stepdad put into getting KMIR on the air.
Well, I'll tell you, I was excited when I used to see KMIR. My mother and John, they were working all day, so they couldn't be excited. But when I saw KMIR, TV, and John's voice, I thought, that's great.
The Contis also secured the vacant spot of Channel 6 on the local cable company. And from the beginning, the station was known as KMIR 36 and 6.
They worked alongside each other, so they did this as a team. They were always a team.
The Contis' granddaughter, Tina Siegel, who eventually became a reporter and a news anchor at KMIR, recalls her grandparents' desire from the beginning to make this a community TV station. With John Conti's rich entertainment history, KMIR literally became the station of the stars.
You had the Bob Hope Golf Classic. That was a huge event of the year, one of the biggest events of the year for the Valley. So, you know, he was very accessible. You could just interview him and you would make an appointment with him and he would come into the studio and talk about the upcoming week. And then you'd have, of course, like Arnold Palmer come in and talk about, you know, you'd have all the golf celebrities come in and speak or want to interview with you. It was a very friendly community. You were interviewing Frank Sinatra and Barbara and all the celebrities who were in town, and it was very normal. Even though it was incredible, it was just an average day in the desert. I think the local community enjoyed having KMIR, which they knew was their station.
The Conti's vision also included providing a new and comprehensive source of news in the desert. Coming up, we'll look at that commitment as 50 years of KMIR continues. Welcome back. So we listened to another top 10 song from the week that KMIR came on the air back in 1968. We're reminded of the huge impact this station has had on providing timely and reliable news and information. Until KMIR came on the air 50 years ago, about the only local news here in the Valley was from the Desert Sun newspaper or a couple of local radio stations. KMIR changed all that.
Well, people here in the Valley were hungry for local news, done in a viable way. Now, it has not always been done that way. I think the Contis made a change and tried to make it more presentable. They covered all of the bases in their presentation of the news.
From its infancy, KMIR provided an outlet for news that desert viewers had never seen.
This is NBC Nightly News with John Chancellor and David Brinkley.
And as they say,
this is NBC Nightly News.
The rest is history.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
General Eisenhower died today. His death was peaceful and natural.
I, Richard Nixon, do solemnly swear.
I shall resign the presidency effective at noon tomorrow.
I, Gerald R. Ford, do solemnly swear.
Good evening. Patty Hearst has been taken into custody. The FBI says Patty Hearst was picked up today in San Francisco. The city of Saigon was renamed today. The victorious communists who forced the city's surrender said the capital of South Vietnam henceforth will be known as Ho Chi Minh City.
Good evening. Elvis Presley died today. He was 42. Apparently it was a heart attack.
That I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Cellular phones not only are becoming less expensive, they're getting smaller. One piece, handheld, not car phones, street phones.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Tom Brokaw. This is today, December 9th. I'm here with Jane Pauley, and this entire half hour will be devoted to the murder of John Lennon.
Challenger, go at throttle up.
Challenger, go at throttle up.
At 11:40 a.m. this morning, space program experienced a national tragedy with the explosion of the Space Shuttle Challenger.
A massive car bomb exploded outside of a large federal building in downtown Oklahoma City, shattering that building, killing children, killing federal employees, military men, and civilians. O.J. Simpson is in that car, holding a gun to his head, being followed by sheriff deputies and most of the Los Angeles news media.
We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Orenthal James Simpson, not guilty of the crime of murder.
Every business, no matter how large and no matter how small, will be on the internet in the year 2000. It will replace the yellow pages as we know it today.
You're looking at portions of pictures that were recorded earlier of a neighborhood in San Francisco. We are listening in on and sharing the work of KRON, which is our San Francisco affiliate. They're doing the best that they can under very trying circumstances.
Indeed, I did have a relationship with Miss Lewinsky that was not appropriate.
As mentioned, we have a breaking news story to tell you about. Apparently, a plane has just crashed into the World Trade Center. The building.
Oh, another one just hit. Something else just hit. A very large plane just flew directly over my building, and there's been another collision. Can you see it? I can see it.
We'll take you to Baghdad and report on the winners and losers in this Persian Gulf War.
This is an NBC News special. America at War.
President of these United States, Barack Obama.
NBC News projects that Donald Trump will win the state of Indiana. When the votes are counted, we project that Donald Trump will win in Kentucky as well.
This is the 6 o'clock report.
In addition to NBC, local news was a part of the foundation that made KMIR the strong news source it is today. First from the El Mirador Hotel, then from the state-of-the-art broadcast center the Contis built in Palm Desert. KMIR has literally been where the news comes first for 50 years.
Where local news comes first. You're watching KMIR 6 News at 11.
I'm not too sorry.
From triumph to tragedy, KMIR has been there.
It's always gut-wrenching to hear of our police officers when they are killed by wicked men.
In 1991, providing nonstop coverage from the ground and the air following the deadly bus crash on Tramway Road that took the lives of 6 Girl Scouts and the bus driver. Then Mayor Sonny Bono among the very first on the scene, aiding in the rescue.
They were just scared. They're all so scared. They don't know how bad they're hurt. They're afraid of the choppers, and they need some comfort right now. They're just frightened children.
Tragically, it'd be just 7 years later when again KMIR provided nonstop coverage of the death and funeral of Congressman Sonny Bono.
Sonny Bono is being driven away from St. Teresa's Church in Palm Springs.
That after an emotional farewell from his former wife, Cher.
This is probably the most important thing I've ever done in my life. Don't pay any attention, this is probably going to happen from time to time. And I also know that he is someplace loving this.
And good evening, everyone. I'm Karen Devine, along with Greg Weissman, with an election update.
With the Valley a draw for movie stars and politicians, KMIR has provided comprehensive coverage of election returns from the very beginning.
NBC News is calling Democrat Gray Davis a winner, beating out Attorney General Dan Lundgren.
The 90-hole cut for the Bob Hope Classic was 13 under.
And while there was excitement surrounding Celebrity Sports Classic, KMIR was also there as the Valley said goodbye to some of its best-known and most admired residents.
Today, America lost a great citizen. We mourn the passing of Bob Hope.
Betty Ford, a First Lady, champion of many causes, and loving wife and mother.
Over the years, KMIR has been honored with numerous awards for news, including several Emmys.
KMIR 6 News at 5, Brandon Bailey, Elizabeth Cook, Jared Sanchez.
2 Golden Mikes for Best Newscast in Southern California, and a Murrow Award.
I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, there's no reason to do this song here.
And from day one, KMIR also carried the finest programming available from the NBC television network.
What you talking about, Lou?
Coming up, a look back at memorable shows as 50 years of KMIR continues.